What up? What up? What's going on, guys? Listen, I am super excited for this one. Sharks of Real Estate is getting some heavy hitters coming in to kick it with us, man. I couldn't wait for them to come in. Today is going to be a special treat. We got one of the best agents in Houston in the building, representing Greenwood King Properties. He does a lot of deals. They do relocations. So I'm super excited for you guys to learn from him. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming in. I couldn't wait for this I couldn't wait for this to go down.
Thank you for having me.
I love the fact that you guys are you work with relocation companies and you get people here that maybe move from different cities and they're coming to a metropolitan city, whether it's for oil and gas or whatever it's for. You guys help them do that. So can you kind of talk about that? Because I really don't think agents even know that that's a lane.
Sure. Yeah. There are people moving around all over the country and a ton of people, to Houston. Houston's a great place in general just to do business. And, within, moving around with your corporation, a lot of those corporations, give their employees relocation packages, to help them pay for their moving expenses, packing expenses, putting them up in hotels if, the house that they're buying is not ready yet or it hasn't closed yet, or whatever. So, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of, relocation companies around like Cardis, Brookfield, all of these big guys that, you can get in with these companies and basically become a preferred agent, and you pay them a referral fee, but they're basically funneling this business through you. And that's one great thing about Greenwood King is we actually have a relocation and referral department. So we have contracts with every big relocation company out there. So and even outside of relocation, we're part of leading real estate companies of the world in luxury portfolio. So it's like a national and global network where people within this network can refer business back and forth to each other.
Gotcha.
So anybody that we have that's moving to Austin or to Seattle or to Paris, we have networks of other brokers that live and operate in those cities, so we can pass business back and forth. So the whole referral and relocation branch is, I think, very, very fruitful. If you really work it.
Most definitely. I mean, and I want to tell agents, find you a relocation service, whether it's with Greenwood King Properties, you guys look them up, or any other one. I work with a company called NEI Global right now, and they send me a ton of they send me a ton of business, and you pay. I think it's like 30% or something like that, but usually they have already bought the home and you can charge a little bit more, right? So you're making a little bit more money and you're just paying them, but it's money coming in the door. And I think that's what agents have to realize. Get money coming in the door.
Right. And, the big part of, working your relocation network is, yes, you have these people that are being funneled through. You have to pay a 30% referral fee.
Right.
Nobody necessarily enjoys paying a 30% referral fee. But the thing is, whenever they move to town, you're the only person that they know. Exactly. And you're the only person that they're going to be able to talk about whenever they start meeting other people around town. So they're going to talk about their agent. They're going to talk about you. They're going to talk about me. And whenever they start telling other people about you and how great of a job you did, they're going to start referring you to them. Those people are going to come to you, and there's no referral fee attached to that.
Exactly.
So, this is perfect timing because about I would say in May, there's somebody that came through town, and it was through a relocation company and got him in a gorgeous, gorgeous house. And he's the head of a company here in town now, so he's restructuring his company and moving all of these people, from all over the country to Houston. And since I did a good job with him, I'm getting all of that business. So
Jeremy is dropping gems right now. Jeremy, you gonna make me say turn up in here, man. You dropping gems right now.
But we just closed one on Monday. We're getting another one under contract today, and
I love it.
The one we had to pay a referral fee on, was like $1.2 million. So fine. But these others that we're not paying referral fees are $500,000-$600,000. So it's a good pipeline, and it's a good relationship to harvest. And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's really harvesting those relationships of the people that come through the relocation business.
Yeah, agents, make sure every time you pay a referral fee is not a bad thing. I think that we've preached that just now. Sometimes you have to pay a little bit to get a little bit, but at the end of the day, your business is going to grow tremendously. So I think that that's an amazing thing. So I love it.
And if you have people that are moving other places too, even though if you may not have a specific network, with your broker or with your firm, I mean, if you know somebody, you can contact an agent where they're moving and set them up with that agent, and you can collect referral fees off of people that are moving out. So those outgoing referrals are great too, because I mean, $400,000 or $500,000 price point. I mean, just for making an introduction to another agent, I mean, you can take $2,000, $2,500, just off of that,
and make some money
just off of that intro.
Right. I love it. So, and I know your price point, right? We've kind of hinted at where your price point is, and we kind of hinted at what your clientele looks like. How has COVID affected you, if at all? I mean, because I know for me, COVID has actually, and I hate to say it, COVID has actually been great for me in the real estate market, right? And my heart goes out to everybody that is struggling or has family that is struggling with COVID. But for me, if we're talking about my business, it's been great. So I kind of want to talk to you because you're in that luxury home market,
Sure.
4, 5, 6 plus $100,000 market. I want to know how that's lasting through COVID and how it's making it through COVID.
So this is going to be my best year ever.
It's not just me. It's not just me.
And that's the thing. Here's the thing. People want to do business with people that do good business. So, I mean, if you're doing well, I mean, even in times like this, you will survive and you'll really shine, to be honest.
Exactly.
But, the market is just nuts out there right now. So, I mean, there are a couple of things that are playing into this. The inventory is down a little bit just in general because people aren't listing as much as they normally would because they don't want people through their house, due to COVID. Fine, that's great. But at the same time, there are so many buyers out there that are really trying to take advantage of these low interest rates that you have a decreased inventory and a surplus of buyers. I mean, it's kind of like a feeding frenzy out there right now. So, I mean, we're getting multiple offers on tons and tons, and we're our buyers, we're getting into multiple offer situations too. Right. So I mean, we're kind of figuring out how to write that perfect contract to get it accepted. But COVID has been very busy. January was great. February was kind of February was a little scary, I'll have to admit.
I was scared during February
but then,
too, myself.
March everything set in and it just
we were deemed
it picked
essential
back up. Yeah.
Right, we were deemed essential, real estate was, so that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're, probably, over like 20 million in volume already. And then, we're probably going to close, I would say like 55 or 60 transactions for the year. I mean, and that's, for me personally, that's a record. So,
no, it's really good.
It's just, it's busy. So this is, yes, COVID has affected business and it's affected business for the better.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nuts.
I mean, because
really
we kind of talked previous to this, and I kind of told you where I was in my business. This has most definitely been my best year. Can I contribute it to COVID? I wouldn't say that, but I will contribute it to a little bit of those interest rates going down. So with those interest rates changing, these lenders not being more lenient, but being a little bit more strict, I personally like it because you have a more qualified buyer now.
Sure.
Do you feel like those interest rates have helped you on that luxury home side as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, there are people, with private portfolios that are getting locked in at, 2.3%, like on 15-year jumbos.
It's crazy.
And it's basically, I mean, it's free money is what it is. And, even people that aren't buying, I mean, there are a lot of people that are refinancing right now too, because they're getting taken from like, 4.25, that they closed 3 years ago, and now they're getting on 2.7, 2.8.
That was me. That was me.
So, I mean, it's, all around. I think it's, a very healthy market for, consumers.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy, I have to know, it's one thing I've always wanted to do. I lived out my dreams on Guitar Hero. All right, I've always wanted to be a musician, but it just didn't work out quite well for me. I have to know about this background because I'm pretty sure that it helps you now. Like we talk to people, we're in front of people. I mean, you teach classes. How did the musical background help you? And first off, like what musical instrument did you play?
So I play the bassoon.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know what
I'm pretty sure.
It's a long double reed woodwind instrument. So I got stuck on the bassoon in middle school because ultimately I wanted to be a percussionist. I wanted to play the drums, but they gave me the rhythm test and I failed miserably.
It's okay. I would have done worse.
And so they told me to go to the next room and go see Miss Herrick. And she said, "Here, hold this thing." And I was like, "What is this?" So
Yeah.
she was like, "Your fingers fit. We're sticking you on the bassoon." I was like, "Okay." So, it stuck and it just kept progressing. So, all of my degrees, my undergrad, my master's, my postgrad degree, they're all in music performance.
Right.
So with that, I've kind of taken, you know, music school and, the discipline of music school because the thing is, what you do in music school, you're basically taught how to take an audition and to, win an audition to play in an orchestra. So these big orchestras that everybody wants to play in, these vacancies come open maybe like once every 20 years and like 250 people show up to these auditions.
Oh, wow.
So, if you're not the best one in the room and you're not what that panel is looking for that day, you don't get the job. So really, you're trained to be the best at any given time in order to get that job.
Gotcha.
So, the class that I teach for new agents, it's kind of along those same lines as, what did I learn in music school? How did I apply it to, taking these auditions
Right.
and, refining that craft and turning it into, how do you win a listing appointment? How do you win over the buyers? How do you get your contracts accepted? Those sorts of things. So it's all, a set of, processes and procedures like I was talking about earlier. And, there's no one formula that's right for everybody.
Exactly.
You figure out what works for you and what your setup is. And once you start seeing those results, stick with it because, that old saying, if it's not broke, then don't fix it.
And don't fix it, yeah.
But, once it starts to, turn those results and improve the results, then, you have a winning formula. So that's kind of where the whole music background for me kind of plays into real estate.
I love it. My mom used to say something really important. She used to always say, pressure does two things. It can bust a pipe or it can make a diamond. And the pressure that you probably face with those auditions and learning how to do those things now turned you into the diamond that you are. You didn't bust, right? I think that's really important. And for future agents, I think it's really important to know that if you don't refine your craft and whatever it is, music, real estate, whatever you're doing, if you don't refine your craft, you'll never make it later on, right?
Sure.
So now we get to have these fruits of our labor. So I need to know what the people from Midland would think of you doing all of these great things in real estate. You've grown into this great person.
Sure.
How did you get all the way to Houston, Texas from Midland?
Well, so here's the map. So I graduated high school in Midland, and then, I moved to Lubbock for my undergrad, Texas Tech. And then for my master's, I ended up in New York at the Eastman School of Music. And then my postgrad, I ended up in LA at USC, for my postgrad. And then after that, I ended up, winning a job in an orchestra in Mexico. So I moved to Mexico for a while and played in an orchestra there. So while I was there, my brother and I were best friends, and we would FaceTime and Skype every single night. And, there was a point that, I just needed to come back, to the US. And he said, "Well, come to Houston because Peter and Marco live here in Houston." So I ultimately ended up back in Houston to be closer, to my brothers.
Family, yeah.
And things just kind of took off from there. When I first got here, we had a couple of businesses that we tried, and this, that, and the other. And then I started teaching at a few universities, here in Nacogdoches and in Tyler. But then ultimately, turned over to real estate to really get things pushed through.
I tell people all the time, I have a master's in education. I have my undergrad in occupational safety and health, and people are like, "How did you end up in real estate?" And I tell people, I don't feel like I absolutely just chose real estate. I feel like it's one of those things where real estate chose me.
Yeah,
I kind of fought against it for a really long time.
Sure.
One of my best friends was like, "AT, you would be great in real estate." And I'm like, I'm not showing people houses and doing the whole 9 yards. I'm like, I have better things to do, right? Do you feel like real estate chose you?
I do. And it was just kind of by chance that everything worked out the way it did. All the stars aligned at the right time, at the right place.
Yeah.
And, because right before I got into real estate, I was teaching at Lone Star Montgomery up in the Woodlands, Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches, and UT Tyler all at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I was making about $20,000 a year. Oh. And, as a professor.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, I was like, I couldn't even pay back my student loans. And I was just I had to figure something out, and I had to figure something out quick.
Yeah.
So I had a good friend, that talked to me and said, this is kind of like, a stepping stone for some people that, they'll get into real estate to try and figure it out. And I was just like, I mean, I guess. I mean, and I really didn't even, honestly, I didn't even really know much about real estate at all. I didn't even really know what a real estate agent did or what a realtor was because,
Right.
growing up, we lived in the same, my parents still live in the same house that, when we moved in when I was 3.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Okay.
we never moved and we
Right.
never, like, the house buying process was never a part of my life. So I just didn't know anything about it. So,
Yeah.
I just took a leap of faith and jumped in and, by the grace of God, ended up at Greenwood King
Yeah.
at the very beginning and everything just, progressed and, worked itself out. But I mean, every time I have this conversation, I say it's the best decision that I've ever
I
made.
tell people the
Yeah.
same thing. I love
So
it. And just from that story, it'll bring me to my next question. But I just want to expound on what you said. I love the fact that we were gifted this opportunity to be in real estate. I
100%.
mean, we're in a time now in this crazy 2020 year that we've been in that real estate has actually survived, right? And we're all looking like
Yeah,
2020 has actually lasted for 10 years, it feels
it's
like.
true.
But in real estate, I feel like it's going by so fast. So that kind of leads me to my last question is, what's your why? Like, right, we all do this and we all have a reason that we do it. It's a deep down thing. And I know sometimes people are like, man, you asked me that on the spot. And I'm like, yeah, but I just like to know because my why has always been different. I'm adopted. My mom was is an amazing woman. She
Yeah.
has raised me from nothing to something. And I always contribute her with that. So I like to ask people what's their why and how did you get to this point?
I think there are a lot of little tidbits that go into
Yeah.
this. The whole, kind of like on the superficial level, coming from, the music world, we were on stage twice a week, playing these concerts. So I mean, we're performers.
Yeah.
And, in a way, this kind of serves as a performance, when you're with your clients, when you're showing, when you're doing open houses and
Absolutely.
things like that. It's kind of like you're on a stage. But, more importantly, it really is as cheesy as it sounds, it's nice to be involved in those, really, critical decisions that family
Right.
makes that really impacts their life. And, it really makes me feel good that people trust me and, look up to me that much in order to trust me,
Absolutely.
with this. So at the end of the day, it's really fulfilling.
Right.
And, there are no 2 days that are ever the same. That's one thing that I really appreciate. And there's no one way to answer, the same question. I mean,
Right.
it was just like when I was teaching music theory, I would have to explain things, 3 different ways sometimes, to get to the same end result. So it's not monotonous. I love that.
Right.
You wake up and you have your whole day planned out and it does not go that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't.
And but really it's nice to be trusted. It's nice to be wanted and appreciated. And it's a very fulfilling and validating career. And I don't understand why everybody doesn't want to do what we do because I mean
Right.
it is so rewarding. I mean personally and on other levels as well. But I mean
Absolutely.
it's a great thing to do and Houston's a great place to do it.
Absolutely. Well, Jeremy, I really do appreciate you coming up and spending some time with me. I know you
Sure.
you stay busy, which is
Yeah.
a really good thing, right? Tell the people how they can get in contact with you. I know you have Instagram. We keep in touch via email. Let them
Yeah.
know how they can get in contact with you.
So Instagram, my handle's JXFain. It's JAIXFAIN. www.jeremyfain.com is my website.
I love it.
Phone 713-677-4337. So just reach out. I'm always around and happy just to have a conversation.
I love it. And as always, you can reach me, AT Sold It, AT Closed It, anywhere on Google. On Instagram is AT Sold It _ AT Closed It. You got my number. Holla at your boy when you see me in the streets. As always, the Gangster Realtor here to help you guys out. Thank you for tuning in to Sharks of Real Estate. We'll see you next time. Boom.